Continuing now with the Impact segment, Charles Krauthammer rejoining us from Washington. So Senators McCain and Lindsey Graham are over in the Middle East calling for 20,000 American troops to confront ISIS along with some other nations. Do you support that, Charles?
In theory, I would as a last resort. Let me explain. Two caveats. Number one, I would not do it under this president. He obviously is reluctant. He obviously does not want to do it. And if he does stuff he doesn't want to do, as he admits he did when he tried to arm, at least he had the program for $500 million to arm Syrian rebels and ended up with 9 Syrians trained. And then he said, oh, I really didn't want to do it, but I did it because I was told to do. So that's not going to work. Or the same way he escalated in Afghanistan, announced the withdrawal date in the same sentence, and a lot of Americans have died. I think 4 out of every 5 Americans who's died in Afghanistan has been under Obama, a guy who never sought victory and was half-hearted. So I wouldn't do any operation of this scale under Obama because there'll be a lot of needless deaths. Now, in principle, yes, but I wouldn't do it right away. The reason is we have not given the air war any kind of seriousness. I would try to do an air war that is more than 7 sorties a day over Syria. Think about that, 7 sorties a day. Over in the Gulf War in 1991, we flew 1,100 a day. In the Kosovo War, where there weren't any boots on the ground, in which we won from the air, an average of 139 a day. 7 a day is a joke. We haven't touched the oil fields. Why? The administration admitted last week we don't want to do any damage to the environment, as if we're playing a tiddlywinks game here instead of a serious war.
But that's the point, though. But you see, he doesn't want to confront them militarily. So he, being the commander-in-chief, he's the architect of this bombing campaign. He's telling them not to bomb the oil fields. He's telling them not to go up. He's the one that's sabotaging his own policy. So he says we have a coalition of 65 nations. Everybody knows that's a farce. He says we're bombing ISIS and we're making progress. Everybody knows that's a farce. So you can't take any military action with him in the seat, can you?
No, that's my first point.
Right.
You can't do it.
But air, too.
But my second point, let's say we get a new president in January 2017, it'll be worse, it'll be harder, ISIS will be stronger with more affiliates. At that point, I think, A, the first thing you do is you try a serious air war. And by that time, I hope we'll have some Arab allies willing to join us. If that does not work, and this is a last resort, at that point I'd look for a 50 or 100,000 army, 100-man army. And that would include a lot of allies, with America providing perhaps 10%. We'd have France, we'd have NATO, probably the East Europeans. We'd have an Arab Sunni contingent, a major one, from Jordan, Egypt, and the Gulf states. The big trick is going to be to try to get Turkey, which would have to be the base for the operation, to join. If so, that would be a serious push.
But you think Sunnis are going to fight Sunnis? Because ISIS is primarily Sunni.
Jordan is attacking ISIS.
But that's because ISIS attacked them.
No, they were already in the coalition. The Jordanians and the Egyptians know that ISIS is a threat. ISIS has just shut down the tourist industry in Egypt by attacking them. The Egyptians have a terrible ISIS problem in the middle of their own country in Sinai. Of course they will join, but they will only join the way they did in 1991 with a president like a George H.W. Bush, who said, this will not stand, I will go it alone if I have to. And as a result of saying that, that's called leadership. About 50 other countries
so you're basically saying
joined.
We have to tread water for the next, I don't know, 15 months? And ISIS basically gets a get-out-of-jail-free card for 15 months. That's what's going to happen.
Well, that's our problem. We reelected this man, and under our Constitution, he controls the military. And the problem between now and then, you cannot have a campaign that will cost a lot of lives led by a man who doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, everything changes, of course, if there's an attack here, which, you know, the odds are.
Even then, do you want him ordering our...
No, do I want, but he has to then. Then they have to. All right, Charles, as always, thank you.